There's a recording that I made in April 1981 that I've been trying to work into one of these programs for a long time, and at this point, I still don't know quite how I'm going to put the program together. But for sure, it will begin with this, which is not from the telephone, but from shortwave radio.
4644 9792 6482 9203 1928 5633 8555
This is one of those infamous, mysterious shortwave number stations.
3892 3154 5643 3042 4497.
It's generally thought that this comes from governments broadcasting coded messages to their spies who are in other countries.
7234 3554
I have no idea, in fact, probably no one knows where this is coming from, who's responsible for it. However, I can tell you something about the machine that is being used to announce the numbers. For one thing, I can tell you that these recorded digits are on loops of optical film that are being read by photocells.
4041 3510.
I know that because I recognize this voice as being that of the Cognitronics company, and this is definitely one of their machines. It's one of the original types where they used optical film loops rather than digital or magnetic technology.
2787 1224 2542 5554 6745 8878. End.
End, it said. But the machine is still turning. It's on the silent track, which has a repeating pattern of static. This is on an optical film loop. It just doesn't have any sound on it.
The carrier went off about 1 minute later. I picked that up somewhere between 9.7 and 10 megahertz at about 10:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it went off at about 10:17. This is April 20th, 1981.
That was the one and only time that I heard a Cognitronics shortwave number station. And I don't have anything else to say about those. However, NPR has done a program on the subject, and there are places on the web where recordings of these mysterious stations can be heard. I think I may be the only person who has recorded a Cognitronics shortwave number station, however. And speaking of carrier, let's pretend that it's sometime in the early 70s. I've just whistled off a trunk to Camden 4A. Bill is at a test board, and he'll MF into my line, key pulse 009, start.
Okay, let's see what we can do here.
All right, and now the area code and office code for Fisher's Island, New York.
Check all coin 203 plus 039 plus
Well, what do you know? Same Cognitronics company. But this time it's not for spies. It's for telephone operators in New Jersey. Oh, wrong note. All right, let's call it back. And to make a point as to who uses this, let's do an intrastate rate step.
NJ15. Repeat. NJ15.
Many, but not all of the Bell phone companies had a mechanized system that could handle some of the functions that would otherwise fall to the rate and route operator, 141.
Check. Rate. Desk. Please.
Now that is what the New Jersey system would say if an operator gave it a request for information that really needed to go to the 141 operator, rate and route. Or was it route and rate? I can never remember. Anyway, the system, which was accessed over the code 009, was able to handle several routine requests. For example, if I called collect to my original Long Island home number from New Jersey, the New Jersey operator might want to make sure that I wasn't calling collect to a coin phone, since that required special handling, and my mother's phone number was in the 9000 group. If someone just answered a coin phone and said, yes, I'll accept the charge, while the calling operator was unaware that it was a coin, that would leave the phone company with a bill that wasn't going to get paid. So, to find out whether you have to check for a coin in the 516-593 exchange, the operator would call 009. Of course, instead of using a Captain Crunch whistle to reset a trunk, the operator just plugs into one, but it does the same thing. That's the handshake. Anyway, 009. The operator is only going to hear that higher pitched tone. The low tone that you hear at the beginning when the machine does the handshake, that's being added by my outgoing toll tandem, Hempstead. Now, why doesn't the operator hear that? It's a byproduct of the fact that she's not phone freaking. Now, what were we going to do? Oh, we're going to see if there's coin in 516593. So the operator would key KP 516593 start.
Check. No. Coin. 516 plus.
This means she can go ahead and make a collect call to any number in the 593 exchange. Now, if I called collect to 516-599-9555, which is a payphone at the Lynbrook Howard Johnson's restaurant, the operator might again call 009 and key in 516-599 start, to which the system would respond,
Check. 89516 plus.
Check 89 means check telephone numbers in the 8 and 9000 groups. And that's correct. There were coin phones in 5999 and 5998 as well. To check for coin, the operator who's making the call would call the inward operator for the place being called, which in this case is
516 plus.
121 for inward. The operator's route,
516 plus.
or something more complex like
203 plus. 039 plus.
is the other piece of information the systems specify when you put in an area code followed by an office code. This is something you have to know if you're going to call inward. The other common function that these systems could handle was to get the rate step for a particular call. The rate step, of course, is a particular set of rates for calls between any 2 points based upon the distance. The operator would get this information by first calling 009, waiting for the tone, and then keying the area code and office code that the call was being made from, and then the area code and office code that the call was going to. The system would then respond with a 2-digit rate step number, such as
45. Repeat. 45.
Rate step 45 was probably a rate to Canada. I don't think the rate step numbers within the US went that high. But anyway, armed with the rate step number, the operator could then go to her book and find out the charge for the call. Remember, there was a different charge for person to person, station to station, coin, and then there were 4 different rates depending upon what time of day you were calling. There was day, evening, weekend, and night. Now, each state had its own rates for intra-state long-distance calling, and that meant a different set of rate steps. So an operator requesting a rate for a call within New Jersey might hear
NJ10. Repeat. NJ10.
NJ10 is the intra-state rate step 10, not to be confused with AT&T's interstate rate step 10.
10. Repeat. 10.
And if the operator for some reason put in a calling and called exchange that were actually not long distance, the system would say
Local. Repeat. Local.
That, of course, is what the New Jersey system said, which, depending upon what area was calling, meant it was either free or there were message units involved. If an operator in the Southern Bell Territory did the same thing, their system would say,
Local, no charge.
well, that's one good thing about the South. And back to New Jersey, if the operator totally bollocksed up the input, leaving the system unable to understand what she meant,
Check code, please.
this is something I used to hear a lot because I would try to control this thing with my mother's baby grand piano. I'm going back to 1971 for this particular anecdote, and the New Jersey system was my favorite to work with because it never went off hook to give the response, making it easier to try over and over. Anyway, using the piano to talk to the 009 in New Jersey often did work, but very often it didn't. So I'd hear,
Check code, please.
I have distinct memories of this. After it would say, check code please, it wouldn't go silent. Instead, it would stay on this. Yes, you can hear the timing pulse. This is the silent track on the Cognitronics machine. It's not as noisy as the one on the short wave station, but it's the same thing. During this period, I distinctly recall having a conversation with our next-door neighbor. I was just curious as to whether she'd heard any strange sounds coming over from our house, and she said she had and had been a little curious. It sounded sort of like bells ringing or something. Here's an approximation of what she was hearing.
Check code, please.
Damn it. Oops. See, sometimes the tandem I was keying into didn't like the piano, so I couldn't even get to the 009.
I'm sorry. Your call did not go through. Will you please hang up and try again? This is a recording 6092. I'm sorry.
Gotta remember, Camden
6092.
does not rhyme with tandem. Anyway, I don't have a recording of my successfully using a piano to control the New Jersey 009. But I do have this, and this is real.
Five, five, five. 1, 2, 1, 2.
That, of course, was the first Cognitronics machine I ever encountered. It happened when a switchman who I'd called up asking questions told me that I would get a thrill if I dialed 958, which of course was the code to hear your own number. I later learned that I could do certain things to make the 958 listen for digits, and that it was very willing to be told what my number was from the piano.
One, 2, 3. 3, 3, 2, 1.
By the way, the 958 machine would click off at the end, rather than stay on the silent track, as did the New Jersey 009 and the shortwave station. Now, the reason I'm putting this Cognitronics stuff in the early 80s series is that 1981 was the year that Cognitronics sort of came into its own or came of age. I'll explain that in a following program. I'll also somewhere discuss some details about the 958 machines, but for now, let me show you the Southern Bell 009, which contrasts with the New Jersey one. Actually, to start out, let me show you how it contrasts with all of them, because it was remarkably awkward sounding compared to the others. For example, here's a rate step as given by the CNP 009.
Rate, step 05. Repeat, 05.
Southwestern Bell,
20. Rate step, 20.
New Jersey Bell,
15. Repeat, 15.
Southern Bell,
15. Rate, step 15.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Now here's the coin check digit and operator route function on CNP.
Check. Route 203 plus 039 plus. Repeat. Route 203 plus 039 plus.
Southwestern,
Check all. Code 203 plus 039 plus.
New Jersey,
Check all. Coin 203 plus 039 plus.
Northwestern,
Check 8. Check 9. 203 plus 039 plus.
and Southern Bell.
Check 09. 203 039.
Why does it have to be 3? And the funny thing is, Cognitronics can make a device that sounds really cool, such as the second generation Northwestern Bell 009.
170 coin station.
That one appeared in 1972, and it actually foreshadowed the modern Cognitronics sound, which didn't show up until 9 years later, 1981. I'll get to that in a later program. I think it's a safe bet to assume the Southern Bell 009 is very old. In fact, that it predates the existence of South Central Bell. The reason is that it has this phrase,
Southern Bell.
but there is no phrase for South Central Bell, in spite of the fact that the 009 covers both the Southern Bell and South Central Bell territories. South Central Bell was spun off from Southern Bell in 1968, so I think it's at least that old. It's rather Spartan because it doesn't have the phrases no, coin, all, or plus, so that leads to
Check 00516.
which is kind of hard to decode. What that would mean, if Southwestern Bell's machine were saying it, would be
No coin. Code 516 plus.
and lacking the word all, the only way the poor Southern Bell machine can say check all numbers for potential coin is to say check 09, which I guess means check 0 through 9.
Check 09. 901.
Would sure help to have a plus. But there is one area of phrases where the Southern Bell 009 did not scrimp. In the South, you've got to have pride, and the Southern Bell 009 had a complete set of phrases, well, you'll hear.
Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi.
I put Mississippi last because, well, you know, it always is. The last place I'd ever forget to tip my hat to a lady, especially if she was a South Central Bell.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Seriously, I'm assuming that those phrases were envisioned as being part of the intrastate rate step quotes. I never saw them being used, but that doesn't mean they weren't. The two error messages were,
Check rate desk, please.
and of course,
Check number, please.
the Southern Bell 009 was the only one where we know we heard all of the phrases that it had, and that's because there were phrase test codes. Each one would play 4 of the various tracks, and those codes were 0 through 7. There were 32 tracks, plus the Q tone that tells the operator it's ready to receive the data. The Q tone was always preceded by a crossbar 5 tandeming sound, thanks to Southern Bell's particular way of connecting the 009 to the rest of the network. The 32nd track was, which was the sound that indicated that the system had timed out when the operator had taken too long to key the data. Here are the 8 phrase test codes, 0 through 7. On code 0, the first track you hear is the silence track.
1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6, 7, 7, 7. 8, 8, 8, 9, 9, 9, 0, 0, 0. Alabama.
Bet you didn't see that coming. Now here's 3 through 7.
Florida, 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 Georgia, 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 Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. Check, 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 please, 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 code, 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 number, number, number. Rate, 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 desk, 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 step, 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 local, local, local. Local, no charge. Southern Bell, test, test, test.
Let me just mention that by the sound of it, I'm sure that the shortwave station and the New Jersey 009 both use that film soundtrack type technology. But the Southern Bell 009
Test, 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 1, 2, 3.
just doesn't sound like the film. It sounds like magnetic drum.
Alabama.
Oh, shut up. But they all have the Cognitronics voice. As for Southwestern Bell and C&P's 009s, those are magnetic drum systems made by IBM, like this one.
Please dial 2301017 again. This is a recording. Please dial the number again.
It does appear Cognitronics dabbled in magnetic drum systems, the Northwestern Bell second generation 009 as well.
3, 1, 1, 5, 5, 5, 2, 3, 6, 8.
But there was a new technology that Cognitronics actually pioneered. I first heard it in 1974 when I'd arrived home from Virginia and I dialed 958 from my parents' phone line.
5939083.
Blech, what is that? Yeah, see, I had been used to hearing this.
5939083.
That's the film loop technology that I'd heard from the beginning of my interest in phones, but the new thing they replaced it with was not only kind of mutilated sounding,
5939.
but I recognized those digits chewed up as they were. And this is the funny part because, well, I'll try to explain this. See, there's a
5939.
That is an analog film loop Cognitronics machine, not the kind that my CO had,
593.
but many other COs did have that. It's clear analog recording, and those digits are the very ones that they chewed up to make this new weird-sounding thing, such that
3,
has become
3,
and
4,
has become
4,
and
5, 5.
bleh. By the way, would you like some gum? I have some here. But let me get it ready for you. Hold on. Here you go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now, this was 1974. There was no digital cell phone, and really the only form of digital sound conveyance we'd heard was T-carrier. And fuzzy as it wasn't viscerally repulsive like this.
5.
Although I'll have to admit the digits are pretty intelligible.
1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5.
Okay, that's enough. That's a comparison of the analog original version of the digits from a film loop machine next to this new, crude early digital announcing system created by Cognitronics, first put out in 1974. Not only were the 958s in many places replaced with these things, but they were also used for route verification. Route verification was a way that the telco test men could make sure that a particular central office code was correctly wired, so that if you dialed, say, Canal 8, you actually ended up on Canal 8.
228, Canal 8, 228, Canal 8, 228, Canal 8.
Okay, that was an actual route verification recording for a high-volume situation, but that's a story for another time.
228.
Now, in Southern California, Pacific Telephone had probably the most efficient method of achieving route verification. They would set it up so that if a switchman wanted to test the 786 office code, he would simply call 786-1786. If he wanted to test 836, he would call 836-1836, and so on. And what they would have on these numbers was a charge test, this thing. Notice how it stops flashing and just stays straight off hook after 7 beeps. And then it goes to this. Now this actually came from Long Beach, Long Island. I called 432-0000 to get that. But those charge tests were rare in the New York area, and for route verification, New York Telephone had a very different policy. It was office code plus 9901. Now in areas with AIS, such as Long Island and Manhattan, the AIS served the function of verifying that the number attempted was actually the number reached.
The number you have reached, 982-9901, is not in service.
The problem came in areas that didn't have AIS, namely Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, Staten Island, and southern Westchester County. In these, Cognitronics came in with their new crude digital announcing systems. So 9901s in these areas started doing this.
2, 1, 2, 6, 4, 8. 2, 1, 2, 4, 5, 2. 1, 2, 2, 2, 0.
Had to hang up on that one, it charged.
9, 1, 4, 6, 3, 3. 9, 1, 4, 7, 3, 8.
That sounded awful, because it's distorted Cognitronics digits over T carrier through N1 carrier. But anyway, at this point we thought we had seen the future and this was it. But then something else happened, and that is that AT&T began to get some serious competition for its long-distance service, first from a company called MCI. And MCI used switches made by the Dan Ray Company that had a funny dial tone. With intercept announcements like this.
Authorization code you have dialed is invalid.
That's the good old film loop technology. Notice how it stays on the silent track.
Invalid.
3 cycles before the reorder comes on.
Number you have dialed is not on the network.
So now it was the mid-1970s, and the film loop technology that we thought was passé had just come back for the benefit of MCI, and SPC, Southern Pacific Communications, which later got renamed Sprint.
You have entered an invalid speed number. Please check the number and redial your call.
Surprisingly, each Sprint switching machine had about 5 individual, distinct Cognitronics announcing systems, rather than one system with 5 outputs, and each one sounded slightly different from the others.
You have entered an invalid authorization code. Please check the number and redial your call. You have entered an invalid authorization code. Please check the number and redial your call. You have entered invalid authorization code. Please check the number and redial your call. You have entered an invalid authorization code. Please check the number and redial your call.
I think that last one is my favorite. Here's another one of its announcements.
Your call cannot be completed. You have dialed an unauthorized location.
In 1980, I discovered a private network for the Continental Can Company, and it had these.
The number dialed is invalid. Please check the number and redial your call. Circuits are busy. Please dial your extension number for a delayed call. Your delayed call number is 006.
And that brings us to 1981, when something new...
9.
What?
9.
Why not?
9.
Hey, why not go on to 1981? And why are you speaking German?
9.
You do know you have an American accent, right? If you want to form that diphthong correctly, you have to open your mouth a little wider and then...
9.
No, you still sound like an American.
9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9.
Oh, I see. Your point is that people can only listen to machines barking numbers in their ears for so long without going crazy. And if I continue this program through 1981 now, it'll be a...
total failure.
Well, yes, that's a little strong, but let's just say it'd be a bit much. So let's stop this episode now and do something completely different from the early 1980s before we get back to what happened to Cognitronics in 1981. The next program should be a lot easier on your nerves than this one was, because it begins with this. Okay, it's not that bad. Actually, it's pretty human because you're getting to hear real guys diagnosing and talking about telephone troubles. That's next. The New Jersey 009 had a Q tone, and I seem to recall that it was 500 hertz, more or less. But I don't remember if it in fact flashed or not. Maybe it didn't. I've depicted it here as flashing with 500 hertz, as did several other 009s, including New York and C&P. Most of these recordings were from short clips recorded out of context, so I've had to use compositing to put them back into context. I tried presenting them out of context, but it just didn't feel right until I put them back into the surrounding network sounds. Most of the Southern Bell 009 material was recorded through the AT&T 052 conference in January 1972, using the conference as a touch-tone to MF converter. That's why you hear pound instead of start on those clips. Southern Bell called its 009 the RQS, the rate quote system. The reason I didn't use that term in this program is that I'm not sure that all the Bell companies used that same term. The code 009 was universal for that type of system, and a C&P operator once told me that she and the other operators referred to their 009 as Beulah. While these 009 recordings are all from the 1970s, they did sound the same in 1981, with the exception of Southwestern Bells. I didn't actually own a Captain Crunch whistle in the 1970s. I have one now, thanks to Marc Bernet sending me one probably in the early 2000s. The New Rochelle route verification number featured here, 914-633-914738, said both codes because the two codes were actually interchangeable.